running fans, jumping fans, throwing fans, all around athletics fans. Dave, you ruined it. Welcome to Talking in Ovals. How's everybody doing out there on this Monday, July 29, 2024, episode 99? I was going to bring Dave in dramatically because he wasn't supposed to be here, but Dave brought himself in. He's impatient. Hi, what's up, brother? You're on vacation. What are you doing here, you madman?
I am on vacation at the Poconos. Today we had a beautiful, my parents renewed their 50th wedding vows, and it was gorgeous, and I cried like a little baby. It was beautiful. My daughters, my brother, his kids, my fiance, his wife. It was just a wonderful family moment, and we finished in time, so here I am.
That's exciting, and I'm happy. Congrats. You know, we've had mom and dad on the show. I love Mom and Papa Hyatt having the whole entire camper coming to meets. That was freaking awesome stories.
That's what they did.
And, congrats to them and everything going on there. And I'm happy that you're coming to us from vacation because you're just dedicated. I'm going to be on vacation in a few weeks. I sure as hell am not coming on. I will not be doing this. I will be in South Carolina enjoying things all the way. But we are going to get to the fun stuff. We are back on X. Yes. And we are also on Facebook. We are on YouTube. So everybody watching, wherever you're watching, give us a like, share, follow, subscribe, 5-star rating, all that good stuff wherever you are. Last week, we had a great show. We had Lyle Smith on. He is host of the Story Forge podcast, which we were on a few weeks ago. He is a writer, storyteller, marketing professional. We just talked so much in New Jersey running. And
It was fun.
Such a freaking fun time. And I just enjoyed it. Because it was kind of like 3 successive generations kind of talking where Lyle's older than you, Dave, you're about the same, older than me. And then it was just fun to hear all the generations kind of clash there. It was good.
We got to geek out on some New Jersey track and field. But Alex,
yes,
we are in a lull, a track and field lull. We are waiting. The Olympics have been good. They've been great, actually. But we are waiting until track and field starts. It's coming this week. It's coming this
Friday.
Enjoy all these warm-ups and enjoy all these warm-up laps. No, I'm kidding. Awesome. I think I might have a new second favorite sport, men's mountain biking. Awesome. Loved it. It was great. But track starts Friday. That's why we are here, and I'm so pumped. I think it's going to be the most electric Olympics.
It's going to be amazing.
Quite some time, especially since the Americans now have,
I'll say this. My daughter is really into water polo now.
Oh, okay.
She got pumped. She saw a bunch of stuff about water polo, and she's really into it. So I want to bring our guest in. We want to bring him in right now. He is Dave Ross. He is the founder of RossRunning News, a super track fan, historian of the sport, competitive runner, and you can find RossRunning News over on Facebook. I will put that right up there. Boom, for everyone to see. Go to facebook.com/RossRunning News, and you can go there. Dave, what's up, man?
Hey, guys. Thanks for having me on the show.
We are excited to have you on. I wanted to bring you on real quick because we just had you off to the side, and I don't want to keep you there. But I'm going to do my quick spiel for Adam, our good buddy Adam Nalvin. The 3rd annual River and Rock and Run 5K, Saturday, November 16th. Go sign up now. You can go over to the Facebook page. There's a new and improved 5K. You could do it team up, each run 1.5. You could do it solo. All the benefits go to the Monmouth and Ocean County Food Bank. Just in time for Thanksgiving. So go run, have some fun, have a good cause, eat some food, drink some beer after. It's going to be great. But, Dave, we want to talk about you now. Now that we got all that fun stuff out of the way, you have a PR to share. We have not had a PR to share on this show for a while because track is over for the scholastic stuff and things like that.
It's not a PR, but it's a kind of PR.
Listen, it is a way of PR, okay?
Yes.
Yeah, my wife just ran a post-baby PR. So she ran the Bowerman 5K here in Portland yesterday. Well, in Beaverton over on the Nike campus, and you ran like a 21 flat. So we have
not post-baby, post-twins.
Yeah, that's post-twins.
So
yeah.
It's a little different there.
She ran 21 flat, which she was like an 1850 5K runner in college. She ran for Texas.
Wow. Fantastic.
So yeah, she's pretty excited. She's been working really hard, kind of adapting, taking on like Parker Valby type training since the last few months, where she's been like running 3 days a week and cross training 3 days a week.
Yeah.
And it's working out really well for her.
Well, it's working for Parker too. So
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's awesome. That's just fantastic. And it's like, it just goes to show like the beauty of the human body, right? And the way like the human body could do some ridiculous things. We're seeing that with the Olympians. We see it with
look at
so
Ellie
many-
St. Pierre, you know.
so many women now are bouncing back after having a baby, and it's just the
Beautiful.
technology better, the training, the knowledge is better. So it's fantastic. Congratulations to your wife. That's just really cool stuff. So we're happy to have that. So, but now your wife's gonna be mad to hear about this. We want to talk about you instead, Dave. We're going to you. And thank you to the wife for letting you come on at 6:00, post right after dinner with twins still there.
Yeah.
Like, thank you to her for allowing
Yeah,
this.
they're gonna be eating here pretty soon.
Okay.
A little bit about me. So I was a very unathletic little kid. Didn't do any sports. Was very nerdy, like to stay indoors and read books, and didn't like to go outside and get dirty. But my freshman year in high school, my best friend and I decided to turn out for the cross country team, more to make friends more than anything else. And that worked out really well. Ended up being team captain by my senior year. And those guys I ran with in high school, I could still pick up the phone and call 6 of the 7 guys.
Nope. We lost Dave.
I mean, very successful in making the friends part. And I met some really cool people through the sport. My wife and I actually met through the Let'sRun.com message board.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
So,
That's a cool story. That's
very
cool.
funny story there.
What? That was the only time that
so
Let'sRun.com
we actually
wasn't
got
super
married
toxic.
in 2016, the day after the Olympic trials ended. We kind of gave everybody the gist, like, hey, you're already going to be in Oregon for the trials, hang out an extra day, get drunk for free at our wedding. And that worked out really well. We had a great turnout, and the Brojos from Let's Run actually came to our wedding. So it was a pretty cool event.
Nice.
That is really cool stuff, and congratulations.
Let's Run chat board. I love it.
We got the Let's Run chat board. That place is usually only for the worst side of running and track and field to exist. And the fact that you guys were able to find lifelong partnership is freaking great. Let's Run can do great things, damn it. I love it. No.
He's there. So you run in high school, and then what was your career like after high school finished? I don't know if Dave can hear us.
Did we lose Dave? Dave!
We did.
Let's see. I think we lost you. The beauty of live streaming.
Hey, you know what?
As we wait for potentially Dave to come back to us, I just want to talk about just how cool that is, right? That he was able to, the Let's Run chat board. We put.
Guys, are you hearing me okay?
Now we are.
Yes, we hear you. Can you hear us? We hear you.
We hear you.
Let's say we hear you. God, I love streams.
Riveting podcast here, guys.
Riveting stuff. I mean, it was going well. That was a great story. That was an awesome story to start with.
You just figure things out on the fly.
I mean, that again, live streaming is great. But I mean, let's see what we could do here. But overall, like I said, we talk about Let's Run, how it's kind of a cesspool at times, and how people could be super mean on the message board. The actual website, we love Jonathan Galt. Jonathan Galt is a fantastic writer over there. But the message board, Dave will be back. But the message board can sometimes be awful, and the fact that they were able to meet on the message board. Let's see. Dave, are we back in business?
Yeah, I hope so.
All right.
That's what I'm talking about. All right,
Sorry,
you're back.
All right,
no worries. It's okay.
So you met your wife. You get married after the Olympic trials in 16. Where was your running career post high school? Where did that go from there?
I ran for junior college, North Idaho College in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, my freshman year, and then I went on to run at Idaho State University in Pocatello my junior year. Didn't really run my best running until like my late 20s. I ran all my PRs when I was 28 and 29. Ended up running like in the mid 15s for 5K.
Wow.
111, 112 for the half.
Nice.
Ran a 236 marathon off of 50 miles a week.
Wow.
So, ran the painful way. Went through 20 miles at 231 pace and kind of blew up.
Oh, my God.
But it's been a lot of fun. So started working in track and field media in 2012. Been to every Olympic trials. I've been doing stuff like working for NBC the past few
Wow.
Olympic trials.
Wow.
So when you hear the commentators talking on TV, I'm down on the track in a headset, feeding them information like during the distance races, like telling them who's moving from third into fourth, what pace they're on, stuff like that.
So they're not calling it as they see it. They're getting the information from the sideline person.
You make them sound smart.
Yeah, you're the brains of the operation.
They have printouts that they get before the races, and they kind of know who the favorites are and that sort of thing. But yeah, it's more like having a live person down on the field, feeding them that information, giving them, if somebody trips and falls, you can say, "Oh my God, Grant Fisher just went down," or "Woody Kincaid just went down,"
right?
Or that happens during the steeplechase a lot. But yeah, just giving them anything that's happening, live down in the field, and like I don't have to really wait to read hip numbers because I can tell who's who from across the field.
Yeah, you know who they are
so closely.
Yeah.
So it's kind of good to have a guy like me on the field for something like that.
They must love you. Listen, I had a brief 10-minute commentating experience, and I had no idea what I was doing.
Hey, he called New Jersey's 100-meter record at Meet of Champs over with Phil Grove over here, so that was fun.
So your work. When did you branch out and start your own media business, like your own running site on Facebook? How did that all come about?
That started about the same time, around probably 2012. It started out as a coaching page because I do online coaching as well.
Okay.
So then probably, like 5 or 6 years ago, it evolved into this other thing, kind of more about like news and history and nostalgia. And in the past 4 years, it's grown exponentially. Like now we're up to like 65,000 followers.
Wow.
And actually make some revenue from the Facebook page now that
very nice.
That just started a few months ago. So yeah, it's almost like a second job because like my wife and I are really the only admins, and she doesn't do anything on it. So if you get anything controversial on there, as I'm sure you're aware.
Yeah. She's a little busy with twins, so
I think she gets an excuse, Dave.
A lot going on.
Yeah. So when you go to a meet, like what is your role? Like, are you there to report on and interview certain athletes, or do you just go there and kind of just give a total synopsis of the whole meet? Like, what is your role when you go to meet, and how do you pick and choose which meets that you want to go to?
So I basically go to everything local because I'm in Hillsborough, which is a suburb of Portland. So I'm just basically driving down to Eugene for the meets.
That's a great place to be to cover meets.
Yeah. So actually all the meets this year, I've been doing post-race interviews with the athletes for Let'sRun.com, kind of as a side gig. So was there for the NCAA championships, and I worked for them at the Olympic trials this year. Did not work for NBC this year. So that was new, just hanging out and doing post-race interviews. And the same thing for the Prefontaine Classic earlier this year. I just got a credential for RossRunning News and did my own post-race interviews. That's awesome. Just post them on the Facebook page and have a YouTube channel there that I do some interviews if I'm not working for someone else. So
now, do you focus on certain events, or do you kind of encompass the whole sport of track and field?
I'm a distance guy, but I'll interview throwers and jumpers and stuff primarily. If you follow track and field, you follow all that stuff too. Oh, yeah. Granted, I'm not as into it because, like, obviously, hey, I'm not built like a shot putter, but it's still fun to follow Ryan Krauser and Joe.
That's like us too,
guys like that. Still really fun interviews. Tara Davis in the long jump, she's a riot.
Yeah, my God, yeah.
Cowboy hat on and just going for it.
Oh yeah. Yeah, a lot of fun people in the field events, so it's a lot of fun to do that too.
Now, I mean, that's just...
Go ahead, Dave.
No, I just want to say, like, have you noticed, since the invention or more common use of social media, that the athletes are more interested in putting themselves out there? Like, is it easier now than maybe it was 15 years ago to get an interview?
Well, one thing when I was interviewing athletes this year, I asked them about that, like especially at the NCAA meet, because a lot of kids coming out of college, they're going to be looking to get pro contracts and that sort of thing. I'm like, do you have an agent, and have you talked to the agent about like how important it is to have a social media presence? as opposed to just getting a straight up track and field contract, and a lot of them said, yeah, it's a very big deal. And you have people who have, huge followings on social media that don't put out like a ton of content. Like Parker Valby, for example, again, huge following, but she doesn't do a ton of content, still has this massive following. Other people like Sydney McLaughlin, huge following on social media. Again, not a ton of content there. So, yeah, but that's a big thing now. If you're getting a pro contract, they look at that. They look at how much you do on social media, how relevant you are on a daily basis, and what you're going to do for the brand and promoting the brand as opposed to just yourself and how you perform on the track.
And I'm gonna partially criticize someone like a Sid and a Parker, right? Because I love Sid, I love Parker for what they do, but we need them to be better for a sport, right? We need them to be more engaged. We need them to be more out there and putting more out social media wise because, like it or not, those two are two of the faces of the sport right now. Sydney McLaughlin is the greatest 400-meter and 400-meter hurdler of our time. You know what I mean? Like, she is incredible. Parker Valby is on the fast street to being one of our best distance runners of all time. And I think I think that's part of the issue where these individuals don't have their own like big major PR teams like that, right? Like most of your LeBron James, your who in football, Patty Mahomes, Sydney McLaughlin is that for our sport. Noah Lyles is that for our sport. And we need them to have someone in their ear going,
Noah does a good job.
Noah does a great job, but you need someone in Sid's ear going, yes, you may not want to post something daily, but man, you should. Because, do you want, yes, you have a lot of money, but would you like to make more? If you help the sport grow, screw everybody else, right? By osmosis, you will be helping everyone else. But you will also be, you'll be more wealthy. You'll be more known. You'll have more sponsorships. And maybe she's not after that. Maybe she just wants a pure competition. But for the sport itself, I mean, it's a tough responsibility. They just want to go compete, but there is a responsibility there when you're the face of a sport.
Well, and Parker, she has the NIL deal with Nike right now, but everybody and their dog is knocking at her door to offer her a pro contract. And they're talking big numbers. They're talking potentially $750,000 a year. I mean, and
she's such a stud because you see, she went on NCAA legs to the trials and competed as hard as she did. As a pro contract, I'm looking at it going, what could she do on fresh legs if she has a pro, season schedule where she's not running?
All meets.
We saw it with Abby Steiner. She ran, she had a bit of an injury and everything. She's been nursing, but as she got stronger towards the end, right? So, I mean, I would throw money at her too because she's going to challenge to be the United States champion as soon as next year. I could see her really getting right there.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And setting 2 NCAA meet records, in the 5 and the 10K.
Insane.
She's got some untapped potential. We know that she's not the person who's out there doing 80, 90, 100 miles.
No, not at all.
She's cross training. And the cool thing is that set a new trend for other people that and coaches, everybody are opening their eyes and saying hey, there's other ways to do this other than the old school ways of getting out and, busting your ass, running those 80 to 100 mile weeks every week. I mean, and I think that's a good thing for people, for collegians, for the mental health aspect of track and field. I mean, knowing that there's alternatives to doing that.
Yeah.
And that's
everybody's different.
Yeah, that's something that when I interviewed her at NCAA's, they mentioned that as well. And it's a trend that people are accepting. Hey, cross training is working. Yeah. And I think it's trending in that direction.
The phrase "less is more" is legitimate. The phrase "less is more" is real. Sorry, Dave. Go ahead, Hyatt.
So, Dave, you seem obviously well versed in the media aspect of track and field. What maybe we need to do or not. A big talking point has been Flow Track gaining the rights to Diamond League starting, I believe, next year.
You're starting this conversation only 20 minutes into the show, Dave. Listen, this is usually later in the show, Dave.
We have to get to the Olympics, so I was just what are your thoughts? I mean, they're going to have to do something. People are not going to spend, casual fans not going to spend $30. They're going to have to go maybe a la carte, pay per sport, pay per meet. What are your thoughts on Flow Track, and what do you think that they have to do? Because NBC, like it or not, it's a big production. So like what is
Right.
FloTrack going to have to do you feel to keep it up or maybe even improve it? I love all their side stories that they have on there, but $30, pretty big price point.
Right. And that's the cool thing is that Peacock right now is $4.99, $5.99 a month, and that's reasonable to pay for Diamond League meets.
And the Olympics, everything's free. Every
Right.
event, if you have like, I know I have YouTube TV, I can go to any event anywhere on all of them. So that's cool.
Yeah. So yeah, not super happy about the FloTrack decision. I mean, I don't think it's a good look for track and field, and I think if anything, they need to change the way that they're set up and do like a pay per meet scenario
Yes.
as
We've
opposed
talked
to like
about this, yeah.
monthly fee. Like, hey, if you want to watch this Diamond League meet, it's whatever,
$5.
$4.99.
Yeah.
You don't have to have a subscription. I think
Or
that should
they have
definitely
like
be an
40
option.
sports. Like, can't you just pay per sport? Like, I don't care about the cheerleading or the dance. I just want track. So maybe that's
Right.
$10, every month or something.
So full and fun disclosure, I did apply for a content creator position at FloTrack this past week because why not? But that's not going to change my opinion that I still believe all Diamond League meets should be free. Not pay per meet, free. If you want to pay for access, pay for interviews, pay for extra stuff that you're only going to get if you're a subscriber. You get the raw meat if you don't pay. The free one that's on YouTube, that's streaming on YouTube. And it should be on YouTube. It should be on Twitch. It should be on X. It should be real easy to find. And it should be so you could throw it on your TV screen on YouTube because everyone has a smart TV. It should be free there. And then if you want to pay, okay, boom. Now you have access for FloTrack. Now we have exclusive interviews with Cindy McLaughlin-Lavoni over in Doha, right? Like, and we'll get to a post-race one as well. You're mic'd up with Ryan Krauser as he goes and throws, and you can hear him grunting like an animal. Like, these are the things you pay for, but it should be free. And FloTrack's now not hiring me.
Don't get me wrong. I love Ryan Fenton to death. Don't get me wrong. But,
it's awesome. I love FloTrack.
FloTrack was revolutionary for the sport when they were free. I'm sorry. Continue.
Yeah. I just think that there should be other options available. So I think when that does go into effect next year, that like they will change that up and give us some other options.
They're going to have to. Then no one's going to spend $30 to watch. I mean, I love Diamond League. I'm a track nerd, but $30 a month.
Well, I think it's broken down that if you pay annually, it's actually
it is cheaper. Like it is.
10 or $12 a month.
Yeah, I do I think it's like $150 or $149 for the year.
Be.
So
yeah,
or
and
100.
But like on the same note, I'm already paying like $5 a month to Peacock, and I'm paying $12.99 a month to Runner Space,
and I pay FloTrack now, so I'm obviously going to keep it. But I'm talking about the casual fans, not us. Like we are track nerds. We're gonna get it anyway. But I'm talking about like how do we grow the sport? Like
I want to have other options like those sound running. The sound running meets have some really cool options. Awesome. Like you're paying like $4.99, $5.99 for the stream, and like part of that money goes towards the prize purse. You can donate extra money for athletes for the prize purse. Yeah. I mean, that's a cool option. I mean, if you don't want to pay for the whole year.
Well, I mean, the Ed Murphy was on a bunch of YouTube channels, and that did huge for ATL. And I think it did really well. Now, I didn't like that it was on 9 different channels. I think they need to consolidate that. But the idea was good, right? Make it free, make it accessible. Here's all the options. They made that. Now, I think one of the things that I think we need to start doing, and I don't think athletes have a problem with this, if you are in our meet, you need to blast this out at social media. Like, you need to also be a voice. You need to say, hey, I am going to be here on this day. This is where you can find me. This is how you can watch.
You can find it here.
Because if you have 60, 70 athletes going out on top of people, you have the athletes, you have their families. Now you're making a chain of it getting out wider, and it can get to more people.
Or even if you have the meet set it out, but you just tag all the athletes.
Yeah.
Something so that the athlete's name is indicated that they are competing at that.
And if Paul Doyle's listening at all, if you send us your schedule, we will gladly blast out every single race happily and make people know who watch our show where they can find it, what they should do, because we are fully invested in making track and field bigger. And obviously, Dave, you are invested as well. And I feel like your mission with RossRunning news and things like that is similar to ours, right? Putting a microphone, putting a megaphone onto the athletes, onto the sport. You're more on the ground.
Exposure.
We like to have a sit down and talk.
I absolutely want to grow the sport, teach people about the history of the sport, and
which is great.
how we can learn from the history of the sport, and modern athletes, not just training, but like
Right.
what made some past athletes tick.
Right.
And
Like,
it's really
yeah,
really cool, like having to get to interact with some of those people and meet
sure.
some of these people in person. Past Olympians and that sort of
Yeah.
thing, and I get
Yeah,
their
yeah.
thoughts.
Yeah.
We do. We do some little Zoom meetings with some guys who like made like the 1980 Olympic marathon team. Obviously, the team
Nice.
did nowhere.
We had on Dave Waddle. Great guy. I mean, it was awesome.
Oh yeah,
It was just like the coolest thing. But but we need that because people need to know that people sprinted before Usain Bolt. Like that he didn't start track and field. He was amazing, but like people
Right,
sprinted
right.
before him. People ran track before him.
So
Like,
Dave, I wanna backtrack a little bit real quick though, because we kind of glossed over your spark. We got really into nitty gritty. I want to go back to you. Give us some of your favorite memories as a runner. Just not covering the sport, but I want some of your favorite memories of whether it was personal accomplishments, team accomplishments that you remember that you enjoyed.
Man, probably favorite personal memory is my hometown race in Idaho called the Seaport River Run, which I ended up winning like 6 times. But
Nice.
one of the years, my dad had just retired, and like my dad wasn't really able to come to a lot of my races in high school and college because he's working so much. And like winning that one year, that I want to say it was maybe 1996 or something like that, and like have my dad come and like see him walk down to the finish line and holding up that number one finger, at me. Like, he's always my biggest fan and always came to all my races after he retired. That's just like my favorite memory. And, for over 40 years of being a competitive runner myself. But the other things, like I said, it's just the connections with the people I made, like meeting my wife and some of the people that I've met through the sport. If you're a runner and you put that on a resume, and an employer will look at you and say like, oh, you have the ambition to train for and run a marathon, I'm going to hire you because like, it shows you have a work ethic.
Certainly does.
So yeah, just like the best thing for me has just been the people and the connections that I've made through the sport. Yeah, I've won some big races like in the Spokane area and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Um, but not so much about winning; it's more about the people. And like I said, just the sport it's so much fun, and like got to interact with some really cool people. I got to go to Vienna when Kipchoge ran his sub 2 hour race, and
I
he and
saw
I,
you have the picture. You have the 1:59:59.
yeah. So he and I had been Facebook friends since like 2012. And the
So
cool
cool.
thing is, like, if I ever messaged him, like, so kind of we were friends like before he started running all these like super fast marathons and becoming, Olympic gold medalist and all that. So the cool thing was, like, if ever I would message him through Facebook, even till like last year, like he would respond to me like within like 12 hours, like
That's really
on
cool.
Kenyan time. Like, the guy is just so humble and down to earth. But like meeting other past Olympians, like, Bob Scholl, the 1964 Olympic gold medalist at 5,000 meters, like drove him from Boise to Eugene for the U.S. championships one year, and the
That's
stories
really
that he
cool.
told me. But yeah, just met some really cool people through the sport, and that's been the best part.
Yeah, I mean, and that's been one of the favorite parts, I think, for us doing this. Like we've talked to such a wide array at this point, where we've talked to, Olympians, between, talking to some of the greats. We talked to Dave Waddle, like we said, we talked to Johnny Gray. We talked to Marvin Bracey, who was, last year silver medalist, right? Like, a world champion as well. Like, so
Can
we
you guys
talked to
hear me?
them. We can hear you. I can't see you though.
yeah, I
Um,
can't turn on my.
just click on the little, you see the camera, just click on that camera button
I
underneath.
did. It's not working.
You are failing us right now. But but
I
just
shall
talking to
return,
all the
hold on.
people. Go for it. So it's talking to all the people we've talked to, from great runners and Olympians. We've talked to high school coaches. We've talked to collegiate coaches. Ricardo Santos over at Stanford doing a great job with the distance crew over there. And then we've talked to some of the better high school runners, and even our connections to Jersey. We're both Jersey people. But like, just it's been so much fun to just get all over the spectrum and just talk to anyone and everyone involved in the sport of running. And we've ventured into some of the field stuff. Marissa Kelsey, who is an awesome pole vaulter, and we thought that we had Justin Stafford going into the Olympics on the hammer, and it was close and barely missed out. Capers Williamson taking second in the jab. Like we just had such a great time talking to such a wide array of people that I agree with you. That's been the most fun part. And I love getting your stories.
If you're Jersey guys, you have to know about Tom Fleming, right?
Of
Yes,
course.
of course we do. Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Yep.
You know,
Joe Fleming from Portland, Eugene, one year for the trials because his daughter was living here. So like he flew in, and yeah, I mean, yeah, what a great storyteller and what a great guy. Miss him dearly.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, 100%. So here's a quick aside. So I'm trying to convince my wife to get out of New York, and Idaho was brought up. Should I move to Idaho?
Man, that really depends on your political views, I would say.
Hey, listen, I like potatoes. My wife likes
I'm from-
potatoes, so
Yeah, there you go. So yeah, it's I don't know. I would say almost northern Idaho and southern Idaho are like two different.
Places.
Boise's cool. We lived right outside of Boise for like,
yeah.
gosh, like 4 years, and so Boise has a really cool running scene.
Okay.
It's good. I mean, if I were going to move back, I would maybe move to Boise, but
Okay.
yeah, it really depends on what your political views are and how you see the world, and how
We'll probably
you can
talk
handle
off the
that.
stream. We'll talk off the stream about that.
There you go. There you go.
So Dave, as we mentioned, the Olympics are coming up. Who do you think from America has the best shot from the 800 up, men and women, to medal? Because I have some thoughts. I'm just trying to hear what your thoughts are, if you think any.
Yeah, I mean, I think probably on the women's side, Ellie St. Pierre in the 1500. She's
Do
going
you
to be
like
on
her
fresh
only going
legs.
15? Do you think
Yeah,
she should
she's
have went
not running
5?
the 5.
Right. Do you think she should have went 5?
I don't necessarily think so. I mean, I think she's capable of going low 350s in the 15. And she's a strength runner, so I think she has the ability to like hang on to that pace and ride the slipstream. Another guy is Cole Hawker. I mean, he has what I call that championship gear.
Oh yeah.
So it depends on the 1500. So
Right.
Ingebrigtsen knows enough to like make it a 327 or 328 race because
He has to. Has to.
race.
He's done.
Yeah, you're gonna leave 5 other guys in the race that you don't want any part of them hanging around, like Josh Kerr, obviously Jake Whiteman last year.
Yared.
Yeah, Yared. But Yared again is another strength runner.
Right.
I don't think he has that championship gear that
he's got to take
has.
it. Yep.
Yeah. So if Hawker is there and with 250 meters to go, if he's in that top 3, I have every belief in the world that guy can medal. He's got the wheels to do it. And like, I think he can go sub 330. Granted, his PR was at the trials in that race.
Yeah.
But I think he can do more. This is the first year that he's had a healthy spring. And that's pretty obvious for him at the trials because he looked really, really dominant in that 1500.
Now, where do you see
other guys?
So real quick, where do you see Bryce? Because I know there's a lot of guys that ran 141 recently,
right?
But that is anyone's race because that list from 141 to 142 is actually stupid right now of how many guys are running so fast heading into there. And I feel like Bryce has that it factor, right? Bryce has that if I'm there, there's a shot. Like you cannot count him out from the podium just off his grit alone. How do you feel about Bryce?
Well, now that he's training in Michigan with Hobbs Kessler, I mean, they are each other's biggest fan club, and that's a win-win for both of them. They've both been thriving off that relationship and running really, really well. Hobbs, is the first guy since 1976 to make the Olympic team in both the 800 and the 1500.
Yeah.
So Rick Waluder did it in 76, and Waddle did it in 72.
And that's overlooked. Like, I mean, like what he did is a huge accomplishment. There's just so many things going on that it kind of gets thrown under the rug here. But I mean, that's huge to qualify both at his age.
So where does the greatest male distance runner of our generation fit, Grant Fisher? Because he's easily the best male distance runner that we've I think Galen Rupp gets a lot of the kudos because of his second place finish. But man, How do you count out Grant Fisher? The guy just has every American record.
He doesn't have that championship gear, though. That's what gets him. He's got to go.
Let's find out,
wait.
right? So, what do you think his chances are,
He's got
especially
the
with
wheel.
a packed
So
field?
here's the thing: if he's in second or third with 300 meters to go, that's a whole different story. He's got to not let himself be in fifth or sixth at that position, because he can kick as well as anybody else, but he's just not got to give them a 2 or 3 meter head start. That's the thing. I think his kick is decent. I wouldn't call it that championship gear again, but he can contend. The World Championships last year, he looked good until he stepped on the rail, got bumped. So he just needs to be. Yeah, he just needs to be ready to position himself better. And when the kicking begins, if he's there, I wouldn't rule him out for a medal at all.
No. Where do you like it better, 5 or a 10?
God, I think probably the 10. Just because the 5 is just so loaded up. I mean,
and he's a strength guy.
But there's guys that can run. I mean, the 10, depending on the pace, I mean, you might still see that last 800 going something ridiculous, like 152 or 153.
It's going to. It's Olympics. Yeah. It's going to. Here's the thing. I think the 15 is going to be fast. The 8's going to be fast. I think just by the nature of who's there, those are going to be fast races. I don't see the steeple going fast. I see the steeple, the 5, and the 10 going at championship pace. I don't see them. I see them going out because no one's going to want to be that guy that does the work for everyone else. They're not going to want to be there. And I can't see that. And especially when you still have these good packs of your Kenyans, your Ethiopians, and things like that, where they're going to run together. And they're going to sit there and make sure that once the race starts, we're going together, and you have to now go into lane 3 to get around us. That strategy, and they're going to compete against each other too. And it's kind of like where you kind of have to turn around, and if you're American, if you're English, you have to kind of look at each other if you're in similar places and be like, hey, we got to form that group too. You know what I mean? Like, we got to go, right. We got to go with them, and we have to form that coalition that, we've seen it before. We saw what they did to Bernard Lagat for how many years? Now that was a little more tension between the groups,
personal, right?
Because Bernard was, transferred over to us, but they still did it. They'll still do it. They'll do it to Galen Rupp. They'll do it to any of the Englishmen. They tried to. Mo just didn't let them. But, we see that. We see those strategies. So I think it's going to still run that way because I still think that the Kenyans, the Ethiopians, and Moroccans still believe that they have, the best part of that race. And until we dethrone them, they do. That's just about it.
And that's the thing in any of these distance races. It's not going to be surprising at all to see that last 1600, going 354, 355, gradually wind it up from a mile out, and then whoever's got anything left that last 400. That's
track and field is crazy now, man. Track is crazy now, man. It's we're talking about running a 354 last mile. It's just crazy.
Yeah, but, and I remember interviewing Ingebrigtsen in 2020, because after the World Championships in 2019 was when Chariot took it out really hard from the gun, the 1500, and I said, we're never going to see a tactical 1500 again on the world level. I said, this is what we're going to see going forward. And
no, I gotta say,
with that.
I think this year in the Olympics we're going to get away from that slower championship style race. I think these guys are going to go race. I think we're going to, because they're all so fast that they all know that we can all kick. Someone's going to go. I just have a feeling that they're all going to end up being fast, true races, not just who has the best kick. I think we're going to see some fantastic races, and I cannot wait for it.
So, Dave, here's the quick thing. When we, we're ramping up into this, me and Hyatt were critical a lot. Well, not necessarily me. Hyatt was critical of a lot of the world standards and things like that. And I think we've all come around to why they made it so fast, right? Did you think in your wildest dreams that we would be talking about an Olympic 1500 that has to be at 327? Like, usually you're sitting there, 335 is going to win because it's tactical and they're going to sprint, right?
What, 340? Central one, right? Wasn't it like 340?
No, I think it was a little bit slower than
Central ran on 350.
Yeah,
350. I'm sorry.
We're never going to see that again. Like, that's not. I don't think we're ever going to see that again.
I don't know if these guys can run 350. Like that's.
So, what else are you looking for?
Seeing anything even slower than 333 or 334 is just an outlier.
Yep.
Yeah. It's wild.
It
So
really is.
what else are you looking forward to in the Olympics in terms of not just Americans, but in terms of just some of the other picks, some of the other, obviously Faith Kipyegon, Sifan Hassan are two monsters on the female side. Who else are you looking forward to make a splash these games?
Obviously the marathon, Kipchoge versus Bekele, and I think the
Always.
nature of that course and possibly warm weather. I mean, I don't know if you guys have seen the elevation profile for the marathon, but it looks like there's some hills that are going to be a real bitch at about 25-30K in that course.
Woo. All right.
And
That's fun.
I don't think that's going to help guys like Bekele, who's has got the track speed and track background. Obviously, I'm sure Elliot's been busting his ass doing some hill training to get ready for that, and the other athletes too. But I think it's going to definitely benefit guys who are strength runners and ladies. I think someone like Helen Obiri will have a really good chance because she's won Boston and New York, which are not the flattest courses in the world.
No, especially not Boston.
Yeah, it's definitely going to benefit, the strength-oriented marathoners. And I think, obviously, I'm a big Ingebrigtsen fan. I would love to see him win both the 15 and the 5. Who else? Sifan. I'm good friends with her coach, and she's going to do a press conference on the 31st to announce which events she's actually going to run. I really don't think she's going to do all 4.
It's just too much, man.
But it's so exciting to see her try because the fun part about Sifan is if she just focused on 1 or 2 events. I mean, I'm actually mad that she's just not sitting there and going, Faith, let's do this. And her and Faith just aren't going to war. But at the same time, she just believes in herself. And that belief that she has is extra worldly. Because here's the thing: if she
win a marathon off the rip is insane.
If she does go for the quad, who is actually going to say that she doesn't have a chance at medaling in every event? I won't say it. I won't say that she doesn't have a chance at medaling, not winning, but medaling, because she's that damn good.
She is good. She's good. She is.
I think realistically, the 5, the 10, and the marathon, I mean, I wouldn't count it all. The 1500 on the women's side is just so loaded with Faith Kipyegon and Jessica Hull and Laura Muir.
And how do you train
Ellie St. Pierre?
Yeah.
Well,
how do you pick up those trainings? How do you go marathon training and then I'm going to pop in it just doesn't correlate.
That's and we're being honest with the 15.
It's so impressive.
Everyone's racing for second as long as Faith isn't hurt. It's Faith Kipyegon. I don't care what everyone else has ran. Faith Kipyegon is, I mean, we want to talk about greatness again. What Sid is to the 400 hurdles, Faith Kipyegon has been to the 15
and the 5.
And the 5. Like, she is just, I mean, and the thing is, she's like, Americans are excited, right? We've dominated worlds twice in a row. We have probably the deepest team that we have seen in God knows how long. Faith Kipyegon is such a story. And the fact that, like, as track people, like, I mention her all the time because she's one of my favorite people to watch run. Just watching her dominance is poetry. And we have so many dominant athletes in this sport now. Now, Dave, you're a historian. Have we ever had a point where we've had, like, between Faith, Sid, Ryan Krauser, Mondo Duplantis, even Noah down in the lower levels, and in the sprints, like, have we had
all of our distance guys?
A point where we've had just like so many people that are just so dominant, and a lot of people are competing for second at so many of these events.
Yes,
probably, maybe, really not so much since the '80s, since you had people like Carl Lewis and Flojo. That era, and then Michael Johnson is another guy that
Usain Bolt, obviously
200, 400.
I'm just meaning at the same time, like, we're seeing it at all, like, so many dominant athletes in their events coming to one Olympics.
But they're dominant, but like someone like Jakob, he's dominant, but is he? Like is there anybody, like, there's not that many that are that dominant that you say they're going to win every time. Like, even you say it, Alex, with Sid, you're like, well, if Femke's on a great one and Sid's all off a little bit, like, so
Femke's the only
more
one.
dominant, but like, you don't get more dominant than Sid get. You're even questioning her.
Femke's the only one because of what Femke's done, and Femke's close enough. Listen, they're both running 50 seconds. Come on now, like,
Faith Kipyegon could get beat. It is possible. Like there's nothing possible.
Faith
like,
Kipyegon has to lose her shoe. Faith Kipyegon has to lose her shoe and do 3 cartwheels, and then she'll get beat. Okay.
That's the one running the 350. Like, they're there. You know,
Dave, this is what you get weekly on Talking in Ovals out of me and him when we debate.
Yeah, I mean, there's
so
people that are actually saying like Ryan Krauser might not win the shot because he hasn't been 100% healthy this year. So
I loved his comment at the press conference though, where he was like, "Americans would have been 1, 2, and 3 if we would have counted every trials. Knock it out.
Right.
The championship goes through us. If it's not me, it's gonna be another American." Yeah. So I do. But you know, here's the thing: if Joe Kovacs gets him, is anybody surprised? Because before Ryan Krauser burst onto the scene, Joe Kovacs was winning everything. So it was like,
I don't care what sport. Is there a stronger human being in the world than Joe Kovacs? Did you see him lifting?
Justin Stafford sent it on our page. Sent it to me on Instagram. Him lifting that was it 775.
It's insane.
It was. I mean, he's just
strongest man in the world. He's just insane.
So, Dave, have you stood in between Joe and Krauser at all and just been like, one's a giant and one's just how's that felt standing in between those massive humans? Not Dave, I'm talking Dave Ross. How's that felt standing by them?
Stand next to Krauser, but not between Krauser and Kovacs. But yeah, interviewed him and stood in front of the guy. Yeah, he's a mountain. Yeah.
I mean, talking about
cool. It's always super fun to watch those guys throw because, like,
it's unreal. I mean, talking about dominance, like we haven't barely even mentioned Mondo. Like this Olympics is my head might explode. It's going to be so good, and even the prelims are going to be explosive. Like it's just, I just feel like we are at a point now with our sport where if we don't take this time now and take off, what are we doing? Like. It's all there for us to go. What do you think? Do you feel like we're at a place now where like we've never been this like where everything's kind of coming together? It just needs one little light of a fuse, and then we're on our way.
Someone give us $1 billion as a sport, and let's do it.
Well, there's been so many changes in the sport that are changing the way things are happening. Obviously, you know, the shoes, carbon plated spikes, new tracks, new Mondo surfaces, faster tracks, but I think the big emphasis in training and especially in recovery, because those of us who ran in like high school and college, our coaches weren't telling us, hey, you need to take it easy today because we have a big workout tomorrow. You need to take it easy because you had a big workout yesterday. You know, it's get out there and bust your ass every day. And you do that. And now I think people are realizing that recovery is just as important, if not more so than training sometimes. And again, I'll use Parker Valby as an example that she realizes that like, your body ebbs and flows and like you got a big workout coming. You need to be ready. You know what you eat, how much sleep you got, all those sort of things. And I think the newer thing for distance running, well, not so much newer now, but like the group aspect of training, like people who are training together, these big training groups are very commonplace now. Obviously, Dathan Ritzenhein's On group is the big one. You know, Bowerman Track Club with the move to Eugene has kind of been through some ebbs and flows, but they've been around a long time.
Brooks Beast, you know.
So I think that, like Alistair Cragg and his wife Amy, you know, started a Puma group down in North Carolina. So there's a lot of different entities, and that's working out really well for a lot of people. It's not just a new thing, but it's, you know, Athletics West had training groups back in the 80s and late 70s. But now that seems to be working well for a lot of people.
How do we convince Dathan and On to call Brooks Beast and say, we challenge you? Get your best on the line. We'll put our best. Let's do a 15 for the ages. And how do we get some of these groups to sit there and put it on the line? Because I feel like if you sit there and you get some of these groups and they start marketing our top 4 versus their top 4, 8 lanes, 8 lines, 1,500. Let's go. Who wins? I feel like we need to do more team things, right? Because then we can get behind and be like, oh yeah, Brooks Beast, I wear Brooks or Ons. I wear Ons, and you can have your nurses in the hospital who wear Ons go, oh, there's a team for this? That's pretty cool. I'm a part of a team. Like, where are we? Because you're down there. Can you start putting this in their ear? Like, hey, listen, I heard that, I heard the people over there, the Nike people, they're talking some stuff about On. think you got to challenge him to a race. Like, I feel like that would be something so cool if we could start getting these teams. Yeah, if we could start
like
getting
the
these teams.
Brooks guys did that distance medley relay, this spring, and I think they broke the record, whatever it was at the time, which was really cool. And I think they would have loved to have had some challengers for that.
Yeah.
But it would be cool to see something like that. And with these new pro track leagues that are coming about, like Michael Johnson's new pro track league, and then there's going to be a new league that has an emphasis on women's track and field, which I think is cool.
Who is one of my former teammates. There's doing the one over in Icon Stadium with Gabby Thomas. One of my former teammates, Chris Vanzetta, helped get that started, and he cordially invited us, Hyatt, to go to the meet. So we need to end up going there. But Dave, there's good things happening.
What do you think about Michael Johnson's league excluding weights and field?
I don't know. That's a double-edged sword. I mean, he's a runner and that's his thing. But I feel like it is discriminating.
Ryan Krause is a big deal.
Eliminating the field events. Yeah, but on the same note, I think still the brunt of track and field fans are there to see the running events.
Yes.
Field events are in some cases what I would call almost like specialty events that it's totally different demographic again. So I think it's a good idea, but I would like to see him, and maybe he'll change his mind and add those down the road.
I think he's doing it because he wants to have something maybe fit it in an hour window. Just jam pack and 1 hour, boom, finals. They don't want to wait and watch someone take 3 throws. I get it. I don't love it as a pure track guy. I get it from a marketing standpoint in terms of trying to market it to casual fans. So I get it. It's pretty much, it's a track league. It's not a track and field league.
And here's the thing. And if this works, I feel like make the money and grow, right? If this works, people start watching it. Then you start to introduce maybe the jump snacks, right? Because people know the jumping bit. People like that. They'll watch long jump and triple jump. And then, here comes the high jump and the pole vault. Okay, here comes now some of our throwers. And, I don't want to discriminate against the throwers. They're awesome. But again, they're usually put off in a corner. You can ask the throwers. If you're not Ryan Krauser, they have told us that. We've had it. They're kind of off in the corner. They're their own group. They all root for each other, which I think we need to end. I think animosity needs to come back into the sport. I love what Jakob and Kerr do and things like that. I think we need more of that. I think that part of the issue with our sport is we are too friendly, right?
The sprinters are getting good.
The sprinters are getting good, and I like that. But I think post-race, okay, high fives, you're cool again. Pre-race, I need you all to hate each other. I need to see that you guys want it because I want to pick a side.
Fans love rivalries. I
want to sit there and watch Sha'Carri hate whoever the other competitor. I don't want her and Shelly Ann Fraser-Price to be nice to each other. I want them to look at each other and I want to predict who's going to win in a fight, okay? And then I want them to race and win. Then I want them to hug each other because it was a great race. Pre-race, I would love that animosity. Even if it's fake, we need it.
Yeah, there's so many Facebook groups that follow track and field, track field specialty groups that that smack talk between Americans and Jamaican fans, between other. It's
and then really buddy, and it's no, don't even not be mean, but don't acknowledge each other. I love Kung Fu Kenny and Noah Lyles. You could tell they really don't like each other, and that's fine. Because you want to know something? Because the moment if Kenny gets a breakthrough, which he's come close at times. If Kenny gets a breakthrough against Noah, man, he's going to make it a show. And I'm here for it because it'll make Noah hungrier. This is what we need. Palpable, stuff. You could feel it through your screen. When they had to stand together, the three of them, they made sure they weren't next to each other. And it was awesome. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, if you're a sprinter on any given day, obviously you look at Christian Coleman's start compared to Noah Lyles, and it's night.
I feel so bad for Christian, man.
So Coleman's going to be the leadoff guy in the 4x1 because he's got the best start in the world.
If he's not, then something's wrong. He has to.
Yeah, but he's injured. That's the only reason.
Lyles, when he gets through the start and the transition, his top end speed is unmatched by anybody else in the world right now.
Well, it's funny because
learned to do that.
I always found it funny. Everyone says the world's fastest man, 100 meters. No, that's the world's fastest starter. I think the world's fastest man is a 200. Top speed doesn't get attained until you're 200. 100 is by far the best starter, but I think top end speed you'll find more 200.
Oh, there's big smack talk all over social media right now about the titled fastest man in the world, because they're saying it's Noah Lyles right now. But
Well, yeah.
on the same note, people are still like, what about Usain Bolt? And, it's
Well,
like, we're talking about the fastest man in the world right now.
Right now,
not the
right.
fastest man in the world ever.
20 years
right.
ago, right.
And here's the thing. If anyone could break 1919, which I thought was going to be unbreakable, that to me, 1919 is just a stupid number to even consider.
I think 958 is more unbreakable at the current pace that we see now.
Potentially, but
you'll see more 19.4s than you will 9.6s or 9.7s.
So. But Noah's the only person I think has a chance at getting 1919 just
now.
because of that top end speed. Well, like you said, if
there's
he could put together,
I would agree that the 1919 will go before the 1950 or before the 958.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's incredible, and the sport, like we said, is in the best place. So, Dave, as you're looking at some more of the Olympic stuff, who are some of our dark horses to win medals, maybe win events that you see?
So I'm asking a lot of people, on my page, like if you've got $500 to bet on, any one athlete to medal, who are you going to choose? And then who are you picking for dark horses? And so a lot of people, including myself, are throwing out guys like Grant Fisher and Hobbs Kessler, I would consider to be more dark horses. But it's pretty believable. So on the women's side, the gal who won the steeplechase trials, Val Constein.
Yep.
Yes.
So to put it in perspective, that steeplechase race at the trials for women was just incredible.
I'm so happy for
everybody.
All them, and Courtney Wayman, running. She made it, right? Was she one of the three, Courtney? Yep. Yeah. Coming back and bouncing back after, being so good for so long. And then, she kind of had a little bit of a lull there, and now she looked like she was back in form. Like, that was exciting.
So in the last Olympics, the silver medalist was 9:04. Val Constein ran 9:03 to win the trials, which was a 7-second PR for her.
That's so exciting.
You have other people that were PRing, the other medalists, the gal who got third, Marissa Howard, I think she PR'd by something like 15 seconds in that race.
Any given race, baby.
Yeah, so I think I wouldn't be surprised to see Val Constein medal. I mean, the steeplechase on the women's side is such a weird event because now we have Courtney Frerichs and Emma Coburn are both out and sort of injured, and so it's a changing of the guard in the women's steeplechase, which is cool to see.
Men's too. Men's steeplechase.
You have Rooks going in there and making himself, really planting himself as the American lead right there.
Rooks could make a dent. I mean, but it's going to be pretty hard,
It's hard.
El Bakali and Gurma are going to be like
they're going to
7 high, 8 low, and Rooks might be like an 8:12 to 8:15 guy.
Yeah.
I mean, and you got a handful of Kenyans in there. I mean, it's going to be hard to get in that mix. So he would be definitely a dark horse to medal.
So in the multis,
not as likely in my book.
In the multis, Anna Hall kind of has a redemption story she wants to do right now, right? Where do you see her chances at?
She was injured a lot.
She's the favorite.
Do you think she's the favorite going in? There's some good women out there.
Because she's actually
they're great,
continuing to get healthier since the trials. So she's on the upswing and trending in the right direction. And it wouldn't surprise me to see her win the gold medal in the heptathlon at all. Yeah.
So, it's obviously, I think everyone could tell just how excited we all are for this Olympics, that, this sport, as, Hyatt describes it, we are kind of at an explosion.
No, I think we're right there. I think if things fall right, and the way that I think that they will with this Olympics, because I know, like, my family's downstairs now watching, they were watching judo earlier. And so, like, people are going to watch track.
Yeah.
If they don't do something after this and use this momentum, and with Michael Johnson, I think that's going to be perfect timing. I think we're really at the precipice here of a big track explosion, and I'm here for it.
Yeah,
I love it. We need to get the whole TV thing figured out where we're going to be able to watch it for the least amount of money so that people can just get to it. But we're there. The popularity is good. I want to ask Dave one question.
Yeah, go for it.
Did you watch Sprint on Netflix?
You love that.
I haven't yet. In the initial little bit that they did with Noah Lyles before they did that series, you can actually hear me part of that interviewing him.
Nice.
But I haven't watched Sprint yet. I think my wife has, but I just haven't gotten around to it.
It was good. You know what? It kind of like what Alex was saying. Like one, it shows them as human beings, which I think everybody
which is what we're trying to do here.
loves to see. And, like, it shows, like, well, one, it's kind of funny, the blatant disrespect that every sprinter has for Marcel Jacobs is just crazy. But he's my dark horse. He's going to score in.
Is he going to be like Brooks? Is he going to be like Brooks Koepka with golf, where Brooks only shows up for majors? Marcel only shows up for the Olympics.
He's rounding into form. He's run a couple of 9.8s here. Like he's my dark horse. I think he's going to say, "Screw you guys! I watched that documentary. You guys destroyed me. Watch this. I'm back. I'm healthy. I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt."
And here's my advice, Michael Johnson.
Funny,
if
smack talk between sprinters, it's
I love
hilarious.
It's great.
Yeah.
I love it. So Michael Johnson, if you're smart, you get Emmanuel Acho and RG3 to call that sport. You get them to be the commentary. Listen, both guys have been such a Emmanuel Acho is on Fox Sports 1 every single day. He is constantly, if there's something going on in track, he talks about it. I love it. And RG3 does as well. You get popular people like that.
Sports bringing us there.
Get Snoop Dogg permanent commentary on that. I love Snoop.
He cracks me up, man.
I love it. What he's doing for the Olympics, what Flava Flav is doing for the women's water polo, just getting all these individuals involved in all of our like obscure sports that only come around every 4 years, right? Is great.
That's not what I want track to be. I don't want it to be obscure anymore. I'm tired of it.
But here's the thing, though, and not to me and Hyatt always bicker like this, Dave. But what makes basketball big, right? Not only the names of the players, but who's at courtside. People love who's at courtside, right? That's a big deal. In the NFL, who's on the 50?
Who's in the suites?
Who's in the suites? So that does matter. Who's
trackside?
Who is sitting through a track meet? Who's getting interviewed? Important people, big names. That's big. That's a big deal. It's a good start.
I can tell you there's some very big names watching gymnastics at the Olympics right now.
Yeah.
People like Tom Cruise.
Oh, yeah.
They
showed him there last night. Yeah.
Yeah.
They were
a lot of celebs watching gymnastics right now.
Watching Simone. We need them out watching Noah, too. We need them in the same love to Noah that they're giving to Simone and to Sid. Because if they're there, we can't just have these old track greats at these meets. We know they're going to be there. We need celebrities from all other areas.
Lady Gaga, come on back after your performance. Come watch some runners. Let's go, Gaga. We'll let you throw a shot.
John Legend and Chrissy Teigen, watching gymnastics.
Yep.
It'd be cool to see people out there watching track and field.
Exactly. And
but
that would be big.
I think it's different because the setting for gymnastics is a lot more intimate. One, it's inside. It's more of an intimate thing, but that's not an excuse. But I'm going to give a shout out to a Snoop. He's 50-some years old? He ran a 34-second 200-meter. That's not bad.
I don't think it was really fully automated.
I don't know, man.
I'm calling that out. I don't think he did it. I think that they just made that number appear on the screen when he got past there. Come on.
Yeah, I just turned 57, and I would have to probably train for 2 weeks.
Oh, God, yeah.
Bike up and all that to even think about running 34 anymore.
I have to get on my e-bike and go
see,
full
who I do want to see who they need to bring in here, which they're crazy that they didn't do already. Why isn't Cat Williams here? He just ran shirtless and did a 40 to prove that he was incredibly fast and run a 4.2. I think he ran a 4.8. And he's not young. The guy is sprinting around on social media. Get Cat over here, man. Let's let Cat go and race Snoop. Let's see
it. Yeah.
No, but we just need. If we don't market ourselves and really grow after this boom that we're having now, especially COVID was awful, but it kind of set everything up by missing the Olympics, having back-to-back championship years. I'm sure it sucks for the athletes. They don't love it. But in terms of a sport, it's great.
I'll say this. I don't care what they love. They went through their whole damn lives running championships every single year until they became pros. We are the most pampered pros in the world. You hear go run these races. I get it. They don't get paid a ton. But the more championship races, the more chances for sponsorships, the more chances for athletes to step up.
One thing that's not talked about a lot, but one way that COVID changed the sport is pretty much no out of competition drug testing in track and field for a 2 to 3 year period because of COVID.
That's big.
So and now you see a lot of people, especially a lot of Kenyans, they really popped down on testing in Kenya. And you see a lot of people testing there. But
it's an epidemic there, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's one thing I would love to see is the public could have access to see when athletes last had an out of competition drug test. I mean,
Sure.
I called out Mo Katir about 6 months before he got popped. I said, there's no way that guy's clean. I've been around the sport a long time. Too many red flags. And so, yeah, I felt a little bit of vindication when he
There you
finally
go.
did get
Well,
popped for, whereabouts.
here's where a promotion is big, right? Because here's the thing: you want to sign up for Michael Johnson's league, you have to sign that you're going to be clean, right? UFC has
Right.
it. If the fighters aren't clean, we find out that day they did impede positive, and now they can't do it enter
Right.
this fight, right?
Whereabouts,
Where you're not dealing with promotions right now, you're dealing with individual
And
meets.
certain federations, I think, have had to basically sign agreements that basically said like we're going to do 3 out of competition tests on our athletes before the
Yeah.
Olympics.
And that makes
So
sense.
yeah, Kenya almost got booted out of the Olympics, kind of like Russia, and they
Yeah.
turned around and said like, no, we're going to put all this money into drug testing and lock this down, and they're seeing results. So I think it's a good thing. But that's one thing that's changed the sport is
Yeah.
nobody's going to test positive at the Olympics. Nobody's going to test positive at a Diamond League meet. You need somebody to show up at your house unannounced on a Tuesday morning and say, "Hey,
Yeah.
piss in this cup, and we're going to take blood." And that's when people get caught.
Yeah.
And outside of the geopolitical stuff with Russia, the water report is still a damning thing that is hanging over their heads as a country because, like, that just showed that the athletes, I read a good portion of the water report. And man, it's like, yes, athletes do want to get an edge, and you have that where some athletes do it, but they were just forced. If you were any sort of good, this was the program to be a part of the Russian.
You didn't have a
Olympic
choice,
team.
yeah.
So, I mean, it's nuts. And it's crazy. So, Dave, before we let you go, you are getting the question that we ask all of our guests. And I think we touched on a ton of ideas. So you're going to have to rack your brain right now. If you had a magic wand and you could wave it and you could make any change to the sport or add something that you can to the sport to get more casual fans in, to get our pro athletes paid because you are on the ground. Half of these people are getting to that meet. They barely have money to pay for rent. They barely have money to pay for training. They're just trying to go get some prize money at these meets, right? If you could change something, get them paid, get more casuals, what would you change? What would you do?
I think kind of what we hit about before, just having free access to the sport. If you do want to watch a track meet, I mean, I think there's enough sponsors out there that are throwing money at the sport that the fans shouldn't have to pay for access to the sport that we love. And I think if we do have to pay, I think it needs to be really reasonable, and we need to have some options.
Yes.
But and I think it's allowing people to participate, like on a local level, having more all-comers meets, getting other people involved in the sport, just developing a love for track and field from a really early age. Like Tracktown in Eugene they have like a kids club. They have
We need more of
all-comers
those.
meets that are free for kids. I mean, just get people involved in the sport and get them to love it from an early age, and it becomes a lifetime thing.
I think all those are good. I think, absolutely. Free access in general, right? Access to the sport and promotion of it is something we need. And I think that's, we get a lot of similar answers, and I love it because the more we get, the more I can get all this. I can clip it all together, and maybe I'll just send it to some networks and be like, these are all the ideas. Make something work. But Dave, thank you so much for coming on. This was a blast, man.
Yes.
Yeah. Thanks for having me, guys. I appreciate it.
I think we have to have you back on at some point because you are a wealth of knowledge, and I feel like, we can cover so much. I think the Olympics kind of overshadowed so much, but I would just love to hear more of your stories of things you've covered and things like that. Right. I see some of your stuff on your page. You've done so much in terms of history and stuff like that.
And maybe have you on and maybe talk about some of the things that are not the comfortable side of our sport that are out there that maybe, people aren't aware of. But yeah, I mean, you do amazing work. I cannot wait to talk to you again and to watch the sport grow. And what you're doing is a huge reason why. So thank you very, very, very much for all that you do for the sport. And 21 minutes for your wife after twins. Unbelievable.
So now you have to match it somehow. You have to go run a legitimate PR in the 5K, otherwise you're not equivalent.
Yeah, I have to make sure keep my title as the fastest person in the house. So
That's gonna be tough.
because those twins are coming for it soon. You
have to do it with you have
it,
to break 21 with the stroller, the double stroller. That'll be the
oh God,
caveat. Break 21 with the double running stroller.
If there's a way I could tie into like what's the world record for 5K for a 57-year-old man pushing twins in a stroller,
Yeah.
I want to know what that is.
It's probably really fast because people are insane with those running strollers.
I guarantee it is out there, though.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
So once again, he is Dave Ross. If you obviously can hear, passionate about the sport, very similar to what we are, trying to do a similar thing, just more on the ground, get exposure to this sport. If you want to have access to his history, if you want to have access to his reporting, go join the Facebook group over there. RossRunning News, facebook.com/RossRunning News. Real easy to find. It pops up, no problem. You go search it on the bar. RossRunning, it's the first option. So jump in there, join that group. It's an awesome group. Even if you don't say anything, you're going to get great history. You're going to get awesome stuff there. So join them there. When it comes to us, find us everywhere. You can find the podcast. Go search at Talking and Ovals. Thank you for everyone who's watched on YouTube, Facebook, X. Happy to be back on X finally since we're verified and their new screwy rules. But overall, pumped. We had a great show. We'll be back next week for another show. Dave, you won't be on vacation, will you?
I will not be.
Not that I know of.
Well, neither. Oh, there's two Daves.
Either one of us.
There's two Daves. There's Hyatt and then there's Dave. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for watching. We'll be back next